Hi, this is Deborah, and today we're going to talk about insulin resistance. It's becoming a real problem, and we can take care of it by diet, but it is just the core cause is just messing up a lot of Americans these days. Anyway, to get back, there are two sources of energy. One is sugar and one is fat, stored fat. Now the stored fat, we store 70,000 milligrams per day, where the sugar we only are able to store 1,700. So that means that we eat a whole lot more because we get hungrier when we burn the sugar. So we want to get to that fat burning way of doing things. The American people of today eat 31 milligrams of sugar, where all we need is 1 heaping teaspoon, which is 7.5 milligrams of sugar per day. Carbohydrates, we were told that it's good for us, because it's going to help burn the fat, and it's going to, we really didn't have to worry about it. It was the talk of the town. However, we found out that isn't true, because the American people of today are getting heavier, and the diabetes is on a rise. So, what are carbohydrates? Carbohydrates are your glutens, your breads, your crackers, your pretzels, your chips, your processed foods, your I hope I'm getting all this right. Your snacky stuff, and of course your chocolates and alcohol. And when we eat the carbohydrates, it turns right to sugar and right to fat. Carbohydrates go right to sugar. And then, I'll talk about the other part later. So because we're trying to use the sugar to burn, we're eating more and more and more. And if we don't, we find ourselves craving for the junk food, anxiety, being very tired, especially after the food that we eat, brain fog, and moodiness, okay? So, the more carbohydrates we eat, the more sugar we get, and it sits in our bloodstream. Now, our cells have a job, okay? One is for energy. We got billions of them, mind you. And then one to balance, the salt and the potassium. One for helps with our magnesium, helps with amino acids. Okay, and in the sugar that's in our body is called glycogen. Okay, so if I say glycogen and sugar intermingle, you'll know what that is. Anyway, over time, this sugar that sits outside the cells, gets more and more and more. Okay, and the insulin, the pancreas that produces insulin, goes for that. It says, well, wait a minute, something is definitely wrong. So it pours out 5 to 7 more times more amounts of insulin than we actually need. So think of insulin as a key. You open the cell, the sugar comes in. Well, the cell could only hold just so much, okay? And so what happens is then the cells say, hey, no, done. I'm not. Forget it. I don't want any more. And it closes off all communications with the insulin and the pancreas. Okay? But yet, the pancreas is saying, wait a minute, there's a lot of sugar in this bloodstream. Let's take care of it. So more insulin is being poured. That is what's resistant insulin is all about. That is what happens when you're eating way too much carbohydrates. Okay, so what happens is you're tired, you're fatigued, you're moody, you're just constantly craving, you're thirsty, you're urinating quite a bit. So you go to the doctor, and the doctor says, "Oh, you're diabetic." So he put you on insulin, he put you on diabetic medication, and guess what? It doesn't help the sugar that's in the bloodstream. All that does is works on the sugars that you ingested. So, to make a long, then what happens is if you keep on taking the insulin, then the pancreas says, "I'm not working. I see all this insulin. I don't need any to work anymore." So, that doesn't help the insulin from doing its job. There's a couple things it's got to do, and that's to help the potassium and magnesium and amino acids be absorbed. And actually, insulin does convert that sugar that's sitting there to fat. And guess where that fat goes? Around the belly. And potassium is used for energy and to balance the salt and potassium. It also helps with magnesium. That helps with the heart, and the amino acid helps with the muscles, the hair, the skin. Especially the skin from being so fluffy. We need that amino acid because that helps with the collagen. So we're not wrinkled and things like that. So anyway. When we have so much sugars in our body, we end up with other diseases called heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, strokes, dementia, and fatty liver. Okay, so how can we stop this insanity? Well, we could get on a keto diet. Now, don't get all crazed. It's not like ketoacidosis that you would find in type 1 diabetes. No, this is ketosis, ketones. When you are burning fat, you're producing ketones. That is what it is. But when you do burn the ketones, you're more alert. You're able to focus. Your belly goes down because it's burning that stored fat. Okay. And we need a little bit of fat to protect our natural organs, but boy, oh boy, we don't need a whole lot of fat either. Okay, so another way to combat with food the insulin resistance is avoid table sugar. I'm going to read this so I don't miss anything. High fructose syrup, dextrose, brown sugar, honey, alcohol, guava, maltodextrose, maple syrup, rice, juice, glutens, and juices. Okay, and what you could use for sugar would be like stevia, non-GMO xylitol, or erythritol. Okay, so those were the things that you would want to put in your diet. And I'll be coming back with how to do a keto diet. I started mine 3 days ago, and I'm telling